Ladies and gentlemen, we have a massive NIL related story from On3 titled On3 Exclusive. Top recruits open up about NIL influence. And basically, I don't know if these kids knew they were doing it or not, but they admit inside this article, 50% of these kids are looking to get paid, and that will have an influence on which school they choose, which is extremely illegal. Now, there's a little loophole many of these kids are going through, and I'll talk about it when we get there, but it's a crazy story. It's really the only mainstream story I've seen where it's got a lot of kids discussing the NIL situation with college football. And it's also important to understand these kids know they're being interviewed. They're going to tidy up their answers a little bit. You know, if you're talking with your friend, whatever, you're talking about figures compared to talking to an actual website. So this is the censored, basically the censored version of what's actually going on in NIL. So we're going to read through this. It says NIL deployed an exclusive survey in June and July to get an honest and unfiltered feedback from star high school prospects about how NIL impacts their recruitment. On3 surveyed 85 of the players ranked in the top 200 of the On3 consensus. On3 asked the prospects a series of 11 questions with additional follow-ups. And you can see, so this first one is probably the biggest bombshell. 30% of recruits surveyed say they would be willing to go to a school that's not a perfect fit for an NIL deal. In other words, 30%, which is really, by the way, a lot more than 30%. It's 30% because these kids know they're being interviewed, even with it being anonymous. If you're a kid who's taken an NIL deal, you're more than likely to say, no, I don't agree with that, because you don't want to seem... you don't want to seem like, oh, you took an NIL deal. So really, it's a lot more than 30%. But even these kids are being interviewed. It's going on record. They're all anonymous, but still, it's going on record. And 30% are willing to say, listen, if a booster offers me a good NIL deal, I don't care if the school is Tennessee or Ohio State. I don't care about development. I'm going to the school where I make more money. And guys, this is the whole issue, and people like me, we're really trying to protect the kids, and this is exactly why, because many of these kids who are 16 or 17, their brains aren't even close to fully developed. They're making a potential life-changing decision based off of $1 million NIL deal. And of course, the loophole would be, if you ask these kids this question and you say, does NIL sway you? And they say yes, you would say, oh, that's illegal. Well, they could technically say no, because if I go to Ohio State, there's a lot more opportunities on the Columbus campus. I'm not talking about getting an NIL deal specifically to go to a university. I'm more talking about, oh, when I get on campus, there's more opportunities in Columbus for me to use my name, image, likeness than there is in Oklahoma. I'm just making up examples, but guys, that's the loophole they'll use, when in reality, these kids are being offered extremely illegal NIL deals, paid for and facilitated by boosters, to just go to a school with basically a set contract. We've seen multiple five-star, actually at this point, it's 3 5-star quarterbacks. One's going to Oregon. He got a $5 million NIL deal, and his family got jobs at Nike. One is going to Miami. He got a $9 million NIL deal. And then one is going to Tennessee, and he got around an $8 million NIL deal. And how the contracts are actually structured, it's like a multi-year thing. It's like, an MLB player agreeing to a 4-year contract. With the NIL deals, especially with the quarterbacks, when it's the multiple millions of dollars, you get like $2 million your freshman year, you get $3 million your sophomore year, and they do it like that in case of transfers. If you transfer out, you're not going to get all your money. So basically, it's crazy that even 30%, that's how bad it's gotten. That even 30%, knowing this is going to be public data on the record, now they are anonymous, But still, this is going to be public data, and these kids are saying, listen, we really don't care about whether or not Ohio State develops talent better than Tennessee, whether or not Alabama develops talent better than Florida. If Florida is offering me $2 million and Alabama's not offering me anything, I'm going to Florida. That's what 30% of these recruits are saying on the record. Now, really, it's more than 30%. Again, we'll talk about that. And they surveyed highly ranked quarterbacks, defensive ends, receivers from Florida, a couple defensive backs from Texas, several defenders from Georgia, and a handful of defensive backs from Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. While the 30% result is significant, several recruiters believe prospects might not have been truly honest in answering that question. Quote, I'd have to think that number is probably around 50-50. That's according to a Pac-12 coordinator. It's no longer about culture, and that's the thing. It's not about culture. It's not about fit. If you've got 30% of the top 200 kids or 85 of the top 200 kids admitting that it's mainly based off of money, where I'm going to be paid the most, the culture doesn't admit that. That's why you see Texas A&M sign the greatest. That's the most obvious reason. Texas A&M signs the greatest recruiting class in the history of recruiting. They have, what do they have in terms of development compared to Alabama, compared to Ohio State? They've got none of it. They just paid kids money to go there, and that is why we are expecting a major investigation into the University of Texas A&M. Now, how it was explained to me, apparently the NCAA was obsessed with Tennessee. They did the investigation. They found the violations, and now the hope, according to people, and is that now the investigation into NIL booster cheating, that's, I believe, what I would label it, with Texas A&M will be starting. Texas A&M will be punished. And now what Texas A&M is trying to do is they're trying to skate through it and say, oh, now everyone is cheating. And guys, I've been over this multiple times. I know exactly what they're going to do. Now Miami is giving out multi-million-dollar deals. Now Tennessee is, yeah, they're doing that because they saw Texas A&M blatantly cheat in 2022 and get away with it in the class of 2022. They cheated in 2021 to sign the greatest class in history for 2022. NIL ranks in the middle when it comes to deciding. On3, so this stuff is just fascinating. I'm just going to read this. On3 also asked the 85 prospects to rank where NIL factors in when making their college decision on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest. 23% of the prospects said NIL was right in the middle at a 5. And normally when you ask any question in a survey from 1 to 10, if it's not like a major yes or no, most people are just going to say 5. So, I mean, that makes sense. After that, 15% said it ranked 7, 13% said it was 3, and 11% ranked it as an 8. So, in terms of deciding how impacted is NIL, 11% of the highly regarded recruits, 11%, are saying that it's an 8 out of 10, meaning it's a big factor. All in all, 57% of the recruits said NIL ranked 5 or higher in their decision. So NIL is extremely impactful. Over half of these 85 prospects that were surveyed said that it is at least a 5. So it's at least in there. All of these kids are basing and making their decisions off NIL. Now, obviously, not all NIL is cheating. Of course, if you go for a visit to Tuscaloosa, to Columbus, what Nick Saban, what Ryan Day are going to say is they're going to say, listen, look at CJ Stroud, look at Bryce Young, look at their NIL deals. Those are legal deals. And of course, a kid can decide to go to a school based off of that, and that is perfectly legal. Now, what's not legal is, Ryan Day or Jimbo Fisher saying, we have a $3 million NIL deal here. We want you to commit, and you're going to get this deal. Basically, it's kids getting massive contracts off of their recruiting ranking. That's what it is. That's why Texas A&M is giving these kids money, because they're 5-star prospects, and it coincides with Texas A&M signing the greatest class in history. You've got Miami signing a crazy offensive line class this year. I said Miami was going to go off the rails. They completely have. Coaching staff, NFL development, more important than NIL. So, yeah, this is probably a lot of just self-righteous. If you're a recruit, you want to come off as nice. I still want I'm sure some kids definitely believe it. There's no doubt about it. But I think when you're surveying kids, they're always going to say, oh, no, it's, we care about the environment, things like that. When in reality, you're deciding between Ohio State and Tennessee, and Ohio State has basically everything except Tennessee is offering you $3 million. And then you go to Tennessee, and then you still probably answer this survey by saying it still matters, like the development matters. All right, like that, it's just a normal thing. It's so unfortunate. And again, these boosters, unfortunately, are preying on the kids, and they're trying to twist it to where it's people like me that don't want the kids to get paid, when that's not at all. We're trying to protect the kids. That's the thing. The kids are making decisions with undeveloped brains, and they're not making the best. They're saying, ooh, I see $1 million, I'm going to go there. They're not understanding, the development aspect is so important. Do you want $1 million right now, or do you want a 4-year, $28 million rookie contract as the 19th overall pick in the NFL draft? That's based off of development, right? But I think it actually could get so bad and so off the rails. I don't think it'll get this bad. Like, we're already up to $9 million NIL deals. We could get to the point where NIL deals become comparable, at least for the quarterbacks, become comparable to what a first-round contract is. If you're drafted in the first round, you get a 4-year contract with a 5th-year team option in the NFL, and you're getting like $30 million, or, depending on where you're drafted. Obviously, if you get drafted first overall, you're getting like 35, 36 million. But we could see a comparable thing. It's not there yet. We've seen the highest NIL deal I heard was a $15 million offer to Arch Manning from Texas. But I don't think Arch Manning took that. There's no reason for Arch Manning to say that. That was a rumor. The biggest confirmed deal was the $9 million deal to Jaden Rashada. If anyone knows of any bigger deals, you can let me know. That's the biggest deal I know. But I'm saying it's evolving. In 2022, the biggest deal we had heard, I don't even know if I remember the biggest deal. There were obviously massive deals with Texas A&M, and there's major investigations that are going to be happening, and I do think Jimbo Fisher will be in federal prison. But we don't know the exact numbers on that. But like 2022, there was no way they were giving kids $9 million in 2022. It's already happening in 2023. So if this keeps going off the rails, what happens in 2024? Does a kid get $18 million? Does a kid get, a comparable 4-year contract similar to what he would get as a first-round pick? That's how bad it could get if the NCAA doesn't do anything. And this is what Texas A&M wants. Texas A&M would be fine with the NCAA or with, some sort of Congress passing laws and saying, you know what? Everyone cheated. Let's just let everyone off the hook. Now these are going to be enforced. Now NIL, this is real. That's what Texas A&M wants. Texas A&M would be fine because they've already gotten all their 5 stars. They've gotten their 8 5-stars from the class of 2022 already, and they don't want to be punished for it. But that's not how the world works. They will face an extreme, just an unbelievable investigation by the NCAA. It is going to be epic. Recruits are talking to each other about NIL. So we knew that obviously they're going to be talking to each other. Apparently 65% of the recruits are, conversing with, a 5-star receiver, talking to another 5-star receiver. How much money did you get? That's obviously going to affect some things. Like, that's another situation. Imagine if you're a 5-star receiver, you commit to a school early in the process, and then you've got another 5-star receiver, maybe ranked lower than you, and he tells you, like, hey, I just got an offer of $10 million, and you're just like, what? Like, I could have gotten that? So, this whole thing is just a mess, man. And it's the problem of not enforcing rules, so when teams blatantly cheat and go around the rules, they're rewarded for it. Obviously, that system cannot exist and be a system that is used properly. So, guys, this was a crazy article. I think the key takeaway is at least 30% of the kids are admitting, that this cheating is going on. It's probably about 50% of them that are doing it. If I were to go through the top 100 prospects in the composite, I mean, probably 50-50 are probably have some sort of NIL deal or have been rumored. I don't know the exact number. I would have to literally go through the top 100 prospect player by player and tell you if I heard anything. Like, it would be like Arch Manning, I would probably say no. Malachi Nelson, I would probably say no. But then other players, certainly yes. So it's like, I don't know if it'd be 50-50, but it's a lot of the players that are getting these NIL deals. And then it's the thing where you have two different sides to the coin. You've got Ohio State, you've got Alabama, you've got Michigan, you've got Penn State, who are not giving these type of deals, which are illegal. They're saying, listen, this is illegal, we're not doing it. And then people that are cheating, programs and fan bases that are cheating say, oh, how do you know they're not cheating anyway? There's been find me one. All I want, this is what I want from Texas A&M fans or any fans that are cheating that think everyone is cheating. I want one rumored NIL deal with an Ohio State recruit when he was a recruit. Obviously, Ohio State players are getting paid when they get on campus through NIL deals. I'm saying when they're a recruit, I need a deal. I need a rumored deal. I need something. The Quinn Ewers. I love when people bring up Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers literally committed to Ryan Day because he was a quarterback guru in 2022, reclassified to get the NIL deal. Ohio State would have been much better off in their quarterback room for the quarterback depth just to cheat like Texas A&M does and say, listen, we're going to give you an $8 million NIL deal. We can guarantee you that right now. But Ohio State doesn't do that, so Ewers was forced to re-enroll a year early, come on campus, and make money that way by being on campus. So I want one deal from anyone, but they're not out there. There's none out there. There's none out there with Michigan. There's, Alabama with the transfer portal. Yeah, I don't know about Alabama. Well, Saban did come out pretty much against it, so I don't think Alabama does much in terms of the NIL deals for recruits. Again, guys, there's a difference. When you're given with the recruits, when they're on campus, it's completely different. NIL, on-campus entity. That's what it is, and this is a bombshell story that basically admits that there is major cheating going on. And once we get this Texas A&M investigation, and you hate that it comes to this. That's the thing. We hate that it comes to this, but at the end of the day, this is the only thing that's going to stop it. Investigate the school that started it. They completely went off the rails in 2022. It's only gotten worse. And then their fans try and defend it by saying, everyone does it. Yeah, well, you started it and you did it blatantly in 2022. And you're going to get bowl banned. So you can enjoy the bowl ban and move on from there. So, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.